Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Monday Night Wellness Stories. I'm Sherry Danzig, and I'm so excited to have this group here. If you're listening live or you're listening to the recording, we're going to be sharing tonight on a specific product that's a new technology that Nikken has launched not so long ago, and it's called the Precision, and it's both grounding and magnetic. So we're going to hear an array of stories. It could be on people. I'm hearing that we might have one that's on a fur baby, which is really exciting. All the things that you're going to hear are personal stories. We are all excited to be sharing from a stand of these technologies bringing a natural solution of ways to take care of our health, to feel better, rest better, recover better, slow down the aging process, really great things that we all want to do. We all want to be healthier. And so these are natural solutions that the company Nikken provides for us. So we've got a bunch of stories. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Michelle for you to share first. If you'll unmute and share a story about the Precision.
Thank you, Sherry, and thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate you doing this for all of us. Well, my experience, it was very powerful. In September, I had a nasty fall and I damaged my bicep, and to the point where I could not lift it up past my chest, my arm. And I tried the Precision. First, I tried the wand, and I would put it on different spots of my arm, and it was feeling a little bit better. Within a couple of days, I was able to go like this. And then now I can actually put it back. I can comb the back of my hair. I can clasp my hands in behind my back. Still can't lift it up yet to the upper back. However, I've got better range of mobility. The discomfort is lessening day by day, every day. And I'm very, very pleased and grateful to Nikken for this amazing product.
Yay, that's awesome. And if somebody will, I can grab mine. It's nice if we can kind of hold up the products as props. Does anybody have it handy, or I'll grab mine? Yep, great. So, because there's two ways that there's something that looks like a roller and then something that looks kind of like a pen that can be in, it's called a precision. So it can be like on the spot where you're hurting that you want some relief from. So it's kind of fun to have two different ways to
I need to be
use
on
the product.
gallery for her to see, for you to be able to see the thing that's being held up because we're on speaker view. So now I'm showing up.
Everybody can change that for themselves, Hattie Jane.
Bless you.
Okay, Sonia, I'm going to have you go next. If you'll share a story, please.
Thanks, Sherry. Thanks for inviting me to share my story. Hi, everyone. I've used Nikken products for a lot of years and always for prevention and recovery. And I wear the power band, and I wear, because my wrist gives me trouble from time to time after just years of use. It gets achy, it gets sore, and I wear the power band to keep it loose and working. And then I'll sometimes add the Kenkotherm wrap if it's a little more troublesome, and that's soothing for it and helps it as well. A couple of weeks ago, I ordered the Precision because I trust everything Nikken brings to us and knew that I had to have it, and I didn't, and it sat there. And a couple of weeks ago, I was building a photo album and I was cutting corners with a little clipper. So it was repetitive. I was about 50 photos in and my wrist started giving me a little bit of trouble. I was about 100 photos in and my whole hand was very uncomfortable. I had to bring my husband in to finish the job. I couldn't even press the clipper anymore. By that evening, it was radiating through my entire hand. I couldn't turn a doorknob. I couldn't hold my fork. My hand was really uncomfortable. I thought about the Precision. I honestly hadn't even read about it. I simply took it out, plugged it in, and started putting it on different parts of my hand, holding it for maybe 10 seconds, moving it, on my wrist where it normally gives me the most trouble. For about 10 minutes, I did that. I can't believe how I can still get so completely astonished. The discomfort was gone. 10 minutes, I was moving my hand. I could open a doorknob. I could pick up my fork. Honestly, I was blown away. Thank you, Nikken.
It's great to have these solutions that don't have it's like, oh, but then there's this side effect, because there's no bad effects, only good effects with these products. Don't you love that? Okay, Jeannie, would you love to unmute and share a story?
Yes, hi. Thank you, Sherry. I've been working on a shoulder, and it's again repetitive, uh, just from many years of abuse. And but it was kind of trying to freeze up over the last couple of years. And so I've been working on strengthening the muscles. And in rehabbing some of that, it gets pretty sore. And so the day my Precision arrived, um, I was at my computer and I had plugged it in, and I just started. I had a hard time. I was kind of like Michelle, lifting my arm very high, and I used it while we were doing a Zoom. Just I used the sphere, and I just did it all up and around my arm on my bare skin, because the bare skin is for the grounding part, right? Of that. Anyway, after that was over, the Zoom was about 20 minutes. When it was over, I could raise my arm all the way up and it wasn't really hurting me. So I was happy about that. That was my first impression of it, and I still use it daily here by my computer.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeannie.
Mhm.
Nancy, where'd you go? Nancy's going to share a story, a little different story.
Yeah, this is about a pet. I have a team member who is a groomer, and so I go up to her shop and massage the pets. They're out in the front lobby, have a table there and all, as just a thank you, just an added thing for her clients. And this gentleman had two pit bulls there, and one of them only had one leg. And I think they had said that they thought it was a bait dog for the how they train, that to fight and all that. Anyway, she was just the sweetest thing. So I said, okay, went to the back on the table because she was so big, that has the hydraulics to lift the table up and down, instead of me trying to get her on the other one or getting down on the floor. Anyway, and so I just started massaging down her back and on her neck. And she was just didn't say a word, of course, she's a dog, but she just leaned into it and kept leaning into it. I thought I better do it on this side, but she loved it. And I thought the other pit bull was okay with it, but was kind of, and got off the table and walked away. But this one, and I said, I'll bet it's because she really is noticing the difference with the relaxation of the muscles and de-stressing, because she is walking on one back leg and the two front. And so it was amazing, just watching her lean into it. Anyway, that's it.
Doesn't that make you want to help other dogs, other fur babies that have been abused? It's just,
Yeah. It's so
it's a
sad.
wonderful thing. Yeah. And we can placebo ourselves. People sometimes ask me, well, isn't there, isn't it possible that you've placeboed yourself? In which case I could say, well, if that's the case, I mean, there is definitely some mindset of, if we believe something's going to work, it's more likely to work, right? Not to say there's science behind it and double placebo controlled studies in some cases. We know what the products work, but it is really fun to get those times where it's an animal, which you cannot placebo. I also love the stories when somebody is sleeping. It could be a real person who's sleeping and then they wake up and they feel different. It's like, well, you can't placebo yourself while you're sleeping, right? So for those of you that are listening that have that analytical mind going, are magnets really working? Does everything really work? Yeah, it does. I'm saved not because you are the only man here, Bill, but you are the only male here at this point. but I wanted to have you go last because Bill and I have been talking. He's been a great coach in helping me do some of the testing. And Bill was one of the, um, what do you call it when you
I
beta
call it a beta
testing?
tester.
Beta testing. I was actually that as well with this technology about a year ago. And Bill has really been very studious. And when the grounding technology came out many years ago, kind of took that on to be an educator. So you've really educated yourself and really have a tremendous, I think, deep understanding. So I know you're going to share a story, but I think you also come from that place of having a real depth of understanding of how these technologies work. So take it away, Bill.
Thanks, Sherry. It's an honor to be here. I'm grateful when Nikken reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in testing some new technologies. They don't tell you what it is. You sign all the disclosure statements, and this box arrived about a year ago. Yeah, it was right around January 7th, I think, is when it came in. And to be honest with you, I really wasn't quite sure what it was, but when the doorbell told me that Amazon had delivered it, and I pulled up this metal that had been outside. And the first thing I did is I thought, wonder what I'm supposed to do with this thing. No instructions. And then it had the wand. And I thought, well, that's a little easier to figure out. You're going to poke something somewhere. So anyway, it was very, very cold. And I put it on, I just automatically went right to this spot, which you may have remembered Dave Balzer saying was what he likes to do with it. And I always have learned to gauge it. I teach my customers, well, give it a number between 0 and 10. And it was an 8 when I started working on it. And it was cold. And I thought, oh man, that got my attention. But it soon started to warm up. No, it doesn't create heat, but it did warm up as I was using it. And I go about 5 or 10 minutes later, I'm going, wow, I've got better range of motion than I had when I started this. And I'd say it's a 4. So then I got this thing out and I started to say, well, what will it do? And so don't laugh. I started poking it. And I go, oh, that hurts. I don't like that because I didn't know how hard to poke. And one of the things that I've learned now, this is the area that I do the poking on. And I know we already saw that demonstrated tonight. So when I know I've got an issue from years of repetitive motion, when I put it in that area, right where the sweet spot is, I can tell. And so Alice and I experimented with it for a while, did not know whether it was going to move forward. So we stopped experimenting with it. And then all of a sudden they announced it and I got all excited again. And the very first time that it got here was the day before we did the GoPro. And I knew I was going to be sitting right here at my Kinko light with that uncomfortableness sitting there for hours watching this monitor. So I started using it for that. Well, I got really creative the other day and decided that I was going to figure out if I could use it under my neck at night while I sleep. Now, this doesn't seem like it could be something you'd put underneath your neck on a pillow to sleep, but I thought I'm going to find out. I'm going to experiment. Lo and behold, I sleep well anyway because I sleep grounded on a Kinko pad in a Nikken sleep system. I slept without moving that first night. And I thought, my goodness, I actually can sleep on this thing. And then I got really curious because actually they're not there right now. I wear 2 power bands because my neck issues, and you see my range of motion right now is excellent. But I have had problems for the 24 years I've been with Nikken. I started having problems that long ago. And each year you get a little older and your body gets a little more feeble and it complains that it's not responding the way you want it to. So I decided about 3 or 4 days ago, I'm going to take those power bands off. And I'm going to see how long I can go just using the sphere overnight. And I go to the gym every Tuesday and Thursday. And my trainer says, what happened to your power bands? I said, well, I'm experimenting on myself. So tomorrow when I go see her again, she's going to ask what was the end of the results. I have discovered that with the sphere, I can actually go all day without having to put a power band on. That was an aha. Now, maybe it's a placebo. I don't know. I'm not a dog, so who's to say? But anyway.
Thank you, Bill. The last thing I want to leave you all with is, and I was thinking about this as I was hearing different stories, is that I've been a massage therapist for over 30 years. And so I'm very used to people putting my hands on people and working on them and them saying one of two things. For one, they come in because they're hurting, right? And a lot of times people wait until they're really hurting before they come get a massage. But the other thing is sometimes people will say, I had no idea I was holding stress and discomfort, in that spot, because we're so adaptive that our bodies just kind of get used to things. It doesn't mean it's not having an effect. It just means we're not paying attention to it. So I love that these products that we have are hands-on things that when we started the call before we started the recording, Nancy was rolling the roller on her face. And so these are things that you can plug into the USB on your computer if you're, answering emails or whatever, and just be using these products. And I would just say this is kind of a public service announcement as a massage therapist. Pay attention to where your body hurts because we hold stress. Sometimes it blows my mind because, this part of your arm, because of all the repetitive motion of being on, I use a mouse. So whatever we're doing, a lot of, we probably have tension in it and you may not be aware of it, but it will have a cumulative effect. And so if we don't pay attention to things, sometimes they get bigger and noisier, right? And then we have more of a thing to have to come back from. So I love that these technologies are things that you can kind of just work on yourself with and help to keep the stress and discomfort and, where we get hurting joints and muscles and all that, we can calm all that down with these technologies. So that's the last thing I think we're going to say tonight and call it a quits. Thank you all for being on. We do this almost every Monday night, unless there's a holiday or something like that going on. We'll be back next Monday and hope you guys have a great night.